By the end of today's episode, you'll know exactly where indication comes from in acting and how to stop doing it so that your auditions feel more real. Welcome to the Actor's Career Compass, where we help aspiring screen actors find high-quality auditions, sign with great agents, and book major roles in legit productions. I'm your host, Martin Benson, and today I'll be covering what indication is, and the number one cause of it in your self-tapes, why simplifying your choices can lead to more natural performances, and what to focus on instead so that your acting feels honest and real. So where does indication actually come from? Well, first off, indication means that you are actively trying to show an emotion to the audience instead of just experiencing it yourself. And here's what usually causes it. Number one is thinking that you need to let the audience know how you're feeling. Newer actors, especially ones who have a lot of experience in theater, oftentimes make this mistake. But remember, natural acting or film acting is what we are trying to do in real life. And in real life, we don't try to show our emotions unless we have a reason to do so. So it's the same in screen acting. The camera is going to pick up on the deeper feelings that you're experiencing without you needing to try to show them. Now, for more experienced actors, okay, number two, indication comes from overcomplicating your prep, right? So if you're trying to layer too many thoughts or beats or emotions into the performance, that's going to lead to indication. And so I recommend for that reason that you simplify things. Now, the third thing that causes indication is just worrying about what you look like on camera. So you want to avoid focusing on how you look and instead just focus on what your character wants and what you're doing in the scene. Now, there is an additional sort of thing that can cause indication, which is basically what I call forcing the result instead of focusing on the reason behind it, right? So if you think like, I need to cry at this point in the scene, instead of just saying, well, why would my actor cry at this point? Like, what realization do they have at this moment? If you just focus on the result, that's going to also lead to indication. So the bottom line here is that indication just shows up when you don't trust that simple is good enough. The best performances are usually the simplest ones. So how do you simplify things so that they're more real? Well, you focus on what your character wants and why they want it, not what they're feeling throughout the scene. This is why over and over again I say, think about why, not how, right? Why does your character say this, not how do they say this? You also want to, at maximum, aim to have one or two emotional shifts, not more than that. So for instance, don't like go, okay, this line he's sad, then this line he's happy, then this line he's sad again, then this line he's angry. No, just look at it and be like, okay, in this section he's sad, and then over here he becomes angry. And then finally at this point he becomes sad again or happy, right? So at most there's two emotional changes. You go sad first, right? That's one. Then it changes. That's the first change to whatever. And then it changes again to the other one. So at most you want to have one or two emotional shifts, not more than that. You also might have this happen if you need to like feel like showing that you're sad or angry. Like if that happens, if you start to feel a need to show that you're sad or angry to the audience, then you should ask yourself, well, why? Why does my character want to show this here, right? Not why do I want to show it to the audience, but why do I want to show this to the other characters in the scene? That's what's most important, okay? If there's no good reason for you to show your emotion to the other characters in the scene, then you shouldn't be showing that emotion, okay? Because the audience is supposed to be invisible when it comes to film and screen acting. There's no audience there. There's no camera there. You're not acting for the audience or for the camera. They're not there. What you're doing is you're acting in the world of the scene. And if you're going to say, like, I need to show that I'm sad, well, then why? Why do you have to show the other characters that you're sad here? Does that actually help you achieve your objective, or does that kind of make things harder for you, right? So if it makes things harder, then maybe you don't want to show that you're sad right there. Focusing on the why makes the performances way more realistic. The answer, as I said before, it can never be, I need to show my emotion here so that the audience understands. It has to be for a reason based in the scene. Like, I want to show how sad I am here so that the other character feels bad for me and gives in to my demands, right? That would be an example. You also want to focus on holding only one emotion at a time in the scene, unless there's a point where your emotion shifts into something else, right? And then it starts to change. Never hold on to multiple emotions at the same time until you can consistently master just holding one, okay? So if you've been acting for like 30 years and you've done this and you can do it really, really fine, like perfectly, then yeah, maybe you can easily hold on to multiple emotions at the same time. But if you haven't been acting that long or just don't have that much experience, I highly recommend focusing on just one for now and then complicating a little bit more later on by working with an acting coach who can give you live feedback right on the spot. At the end of the day, remember that indicating, especially if you're more experienced, usually comes from overcomplicating the scene too much. So you want to simplify your prep, you want to trust your instincts, and stop trying to capture everything that the character breakdown listed. Instead, just live inside the story honestly. Pick one or two things from the character breakdown, and it becomes a lot easier to do something that's interesting. And then if that looks real enough, the director or whoever's casting for the film might actually have you do an audition, a callback audition where they give you specific notes on what they want to see differently. Thanks for listening today. Now, if you want to dive even deeper on indication, I actually recommend checking out a different episode that I did called The #1 Mistake to Avoid in Auditions. It's episode number 44. I dive deep on indication, both what it is and how to avoid it in your performances so that they're a lot more real. I actually use some really interesting example stories of like, you know, if you're this character and you're in this situation, would indication make sense here, yes or no, and why? So it's kind of an interesting episode, okay? Check it out. Again, it's episode number 44, and it's called The #1 Mistake to Avoid in Auditions. It's on the Actor's Career Compass. And if you found the podcast helpful, I would really appreciate if you could leave a review. It does help more actors find the podcast. So just go to ratethispodcast.com/actorsuccess. I also try to read some of the reviews that people leave, so that would be awesome. Lastly, if you're interested in working with me one-on-one, you can learn more about how that works at my website, martinbenson.com. That's MartinBentzen. We'll chat. It's a free conversation to talk a little bit about your career, and we'll see if you'd be a good fit for the coaching program. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.